The Keynesian theory, like all the orthodox economic theories, all the academic economic theories, accepts as a kind of premise that the natural mode of capitalist existence is balanced growth. So growth is the normal condition. Everything is always supposed to be going along okay. Then there can be, for various non-economic reasons, external shocks to the economy or psychological, the loss of confidence on the part of investors or greed or large-scale errors of judgment. There can be conditions in which the economy is not expanding at its optimum rate. So then the theory is the government can borrow, this was Keynes' idea, that the government could borrow money that wasn't being used anyway, use it to stimulate the economy by buying goods or simply giving it to people in the form of old age insurance or health insurance. So pumping money into the economy, and then that would create a new level of demand, which then businesses would immediately expand to fulfill. So the idea was that the term that was used by Keynesians in the 40s and 50s was to pump priming. The analogy was that you have to put a little water in the pump to get it going. So if the economy has run a little dry, you have to pour a little government money in, then the economy will return to its natural state of balanced growth. More money will be generated. The government can tax some of that and pay back its loans. Of course, this didn't happen. In fact, the national debt has increased constantly since it began in the Second World War, in the case of the United States, but also worldwide. So the Keynesian theory turned out actually not to be correct. There was a return to prosperous conditions after the Second World War, and originally the Keynesians believed that the absence of serious economic downturns were due to their judicious pump priming and fine-tuning of the economy. But by the 1970s, it became clear that Keynesian methods were not able to control the path of the economy. And now it is, we can see that the crisis tendency, which was so characteristic of capitalism through its first 150 years, is still operating. It is, of course, true, as someone like Paul Krugman says, that if the governments would borrow a lot of money or print a lot of money and pour it into the economy, then they would raise employment. People would have more money. Companies would be able to sell more goods. But the problem is that this wouldn't in itself lead to, it doesn't necessarily in itself lead to a general revival of the private property system as such. That's to say, if capitalism was really able to return on its own to the balanced growth that the economists assume is its natural state, there would have to be some internal impetus in that direction. In order to understand why we're in this fix in the first place, you have to think a little bit about the basic nature of a capitalist economy. From the point of view of economics, an economy is a mechanism for allocating resources to produce goods to meet consumption needs. But capitalism is not actually a mechanism for allocating resources to produce goods to meet consumption needs. Capitalism is a system for producing profits for the owners of capital. And money will be invested in production if and only if it is sufficiently profitable. The reason that we have a periodic tendency towards crisis and to economic depressions is that there is a tendency for the profitability of capital to decline in periods of prosperity. So until the rate of profit on capital goes up again, capitalists are simply not going to invest. So it is true, the government could borrow a lot of money, pour it into the economy, but as soon as they stop doing that, we would be exactly where we are now, except that the national debt would then be $20 trillion instead of $14 trillion. And all that money would still have to be paid back from somewhere. So this is why the governments all over the world are not willing to take the advice of Keynesians like Krugman, because they actually don't believe in the Keynesian theory anymore. They tried to do this for decades, and they are now essentially back in a situation reminiscent of the early 1930s. And so they're afraid to continuously increase the debts, because the appearances all point in the direction of that it will be impossible to repay those debts in the future.